Paddy McDonnell, what a beautiful sight for sore eyes.
How are you, Mr. Tom? How are you?
I'm great. I was trying to think, when was the last time we saw each other? Was it Lavery's?
It was Lavery's. That was a night. There was a sign that says Mr. Tom's Lounge or something, wasn't
it? Yeah. That's it. And in fairness, I said it to like the staff a few times. It's like, nice one for the sign, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're Tom. It's called Tom. Yeah, no worries." And it was like no crack whatsoever. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, lads. Jeez, at least go along with the bullshit that I'm fucking.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of the few lads that would come up from certainly one of the few fellas to come up from Tipperary to play in Belfast on a regular basis. Anyway.
Oh, well, even Lavery's too. I mean, Lavery's is that good of a wee comedy club, but Colin tries to keep the level good in it. So, he has struggles all the time with it. He was like, who do I bring on now? Because there's only so many of us that he would put in that can do the room. So, yeah, you are pretty much the only one I know. I think maybe Danny O'Brien came up from down south before. I can't remember many others.
The odd time Kenty, when he'd be home, all right.
If he was about, yeah.
But yeah. I was trying to work out, was it that time we saw it, or the time you picked me up in that fucking obscure village? Do you remember that? You picked me up in the van. Stonyford, that's it.
And what was strange about it was, you never once says to me, oh, and by the way, I'm going to be dropping off a Ferrari in Stonyford. Ferrari and Stonyford are two things that shouldn't be together. Do you know what I mean?
I know nothing about the place, only that I know they love a good flag. They
love a good flag, and they like writing a good slogan on a Catholic's house,
Even I was saying to you, because you're giving me the rundown on areas as we were driving through. You're like, yeah, this is and you were. It's like how people just move per parish as per their team.
If you don't move to where you have to go to, you're told to go and where to go.
I'm getting into the flag business, man. Or flags. Oh, sorry, flags, not flags. Flags.
100%.
It's but yeah, I mean, in all fairness, I they look at me. I love the fact that I went into the shop there one day because I had to drop another one up there one time as well, and I went into a shop up there, and one must have looked at me like, I was like, "How are you, girl? How's it going?" And she was like, "What the fuck?"
I tell you what's even better. Every one of my kids have a Gaelic name, right? So see, when you go in somewhere, you know exactly the person because they come out and go, "Oh, who's this? Is this what's her name? It's Aobin," and you're going, "No, it's Aving or Aving down south." Do you know what I mean? How do you say this one? A pararic. It's like they don't have it in their voice backs to be able to say it.
Listen, I my young fella's called Fionn, and sure, it's as easy as that to say, but for some reason, nah. But sure, even when I like going to England with a name like O'Mahony, forget about it. Forget about it. Now they'd say a 14-syllable fucking Asian lad's name, no bother. But O'Mahony, sorry, mate, sorry. There's a H and an O, and sorry, you fucking prick, you absolute bastard. Let's so tell me this, because I don't think we ever properly, like, you don't really ask fellas when you're chatting how they got into comedy, but how did it come about? Because you're a chippy by trade, because you put up some tasty timber work at times in between the comedy.
Yeah, so I basically done the joinery, the carpentry, and I had a business. I was in America for a while and then came back, and I started up like loft conversions and extensions, and we got pretty big. But it was coming to my wedding, and Andrew was sort of like, it's coming to the wedding, and we would drink Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, and I was like, well, do you know what? I'll do something at the weekends just to keep me away from that and get an extra few quid. So I started working as a bouncer, as a doorman, and went and get married on the honeymoon in the Maldives. I met a man, his son was killed doing the door from London. And he was like, you need to leave that. It's a terrible job. I mean, no, I am. I only done it for the wedding. And 2 months after that, I was still on the door, but I was leaving. And I got my finger bit off.
What?
Yeah.
So, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Man, woman, child, what bit your finger off?
It was a man, and he was an old school teacher, and he used to train me in my Gaelic club. So it was mental. And Basically, I lost like a third of my little finger in my left hand.
Show it to me. I never looked at your fucking hand. Fuck! Oh, man.
So I couldn't work properly, and I had to get a series of operations, and they kept doing it wrong. So I was sort of in and out of work. And then the company sort of went to shit because I wasn't about, and I got depressed and was really dark. And you don't see it coming on you.
Mm, yeah.
So it came till, I think, that happened in 2007. So it took 3 years to get it into court. And Andrea was sort of like, how do I get him out of this with the court? The court thing didn't go for me at all. He got off with it. And then Andrea was like, what do I do? And she was asking somebody advice on it, and they were like, what's he like? And she was like, well, he used to be the life and soul of the party, and he loved comedy, and we went and seen live comedy. And we used to go to Dublin every year, and we would have went to the one at the Hipney Bridge. Which
Battle of the Axe or the Capitol at the time it would have been.
Yes,
probably.
So we used to go there when we were down, and I loved the live comedy, and I loved it. And so she looked up live comedy Belfast, and up came the Pavilion, which does open mic on a Monday night. And she sent out a message to Graham Watson, and he was like, yeah, I'll give him 7 minutes. So she just told me, look, on Monday night, we're going for a bit of comedy over in the Armour Road. And I was like, right. Didn't know I was performing. And they called me up, and I got up and done it. And I don't know about you, but it was like a drug. It was just, when I got up and done it, and when I came off, everybody was like, have you done that before? And I was like, no. And like, you need to do that again, because it was good, for somebody 7 minutes, and you get up there, you were dead calm, and you were funny. And that's the ingredients you need. And then within 9 months, I was doing the Fela in West Belfast with Des Bishop. So it was very quick. It was just, so that's what got me into it. And I just got hooked on it. So,
holy shit. Well, you're not nervous. Like you said that, like you got called and you weren't shocked, but like surely bit of fuck, you looked at herself and went, what have you done? Yeah.
No, I didn't. I sort of like, see at that stage, it got the stage where everything else was taken from me, and I went, why not? Why not just do it? So I got up and done it. Now, the second gig I done was a competition in Dungannon, and I was a bit nervous for that one because it was a bigger crowd. But after that, like nothing, it was just straight into it, and just drove everywhere, all over Ireland, and everywhere doing that. I think I remember, like, it was probably my 7th gig, and it was an Oma, and you were on.
Oh yeah.
It was a long, long time ago. Like, it must be 10 years ago now. And like, it was probably about 7 people in Oma at that stage. And Daly's became one of the best clubs. Like, but I remember that. So I was doing that and driving to Navan, doing gigs with Foil Arms and Hogs. I'd done a gig with Emmons, and I forget the fella. He wrote a football book. Oh,
Alan Gernon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was driving everywhere and not getting paid. Like, now he threw me a bit of petrol money because nobody knew who you were. They were just getting a chance on you. But I remember driving everywhere, all over Ireland, to do gigs because I just wanted to do gigs. And was maybe doing 2 or 3 a week, and you weren't getting paid. Then within a couple of years, like, the paid gigs started coming, and then it just gradually got bigger and bigger and bigger,
It did. It wasn't that time in Oma. It was it was a fucking another night. It was one of the last nights of Daly's, and I remember getting stopped by a cop on the way in, and it was March 18th, and he stopped me. He says, "You're not getting there tonight into the town. You'll have to park up." I went, "What? What the fuck? It's a small little fucking town. What the fuck can be happening on a Friday?" Like, it was all they're practicing marching. And in my head, I was thinking, because I'm such a fucking tit from fucking South Tipperary, I was going, fuck, it was only St. Patrick's Day yesterday. They're getting a full year's practicing. That is dedication, that is that all happened in like a half second. And your man, the copper, could see my eyes, and he kind of went, no, not that. And then my brain went, all right.
I used to think that they only done it because they knew I was coming into the town. And then the year he had a big festival up there. There was loads of comedy on.
Yeah.
I was on the Sunday night, so I had to get up early because I had like 3 shows to do for him. And I went up and I drove into town, and I used to do a bit of black taxing. Black taxing is like a London cab we drive in Belfast. And I drove into the town, and it was a one-way street. And when I drove in, they were marching the right way. I drove in the wrong way. So I had to pull the taxi over. And the thing about it is they don't like to break ranks. You know, they don't like if you walk in front of them, they walk through you. That's their rule.
Oh, right,
they
right.
Don't stop. They don't stop. So when I pulled in, I sort of drove into them. So I had to pull it over as much as I could. So they had to move around. And every one of them staring at me with the flutes and the drums. And I remember panicking.
Were you covering up your tattoos at that stage? We were going,
I was panicking, right? And I got till the last guy, and he was playing the big bass drum.
Oh, yeah,
and he stopped. He stopped and shouted an order for them to stop, and they all stopped. And he was like, put the window down. He's a big, heavy guy. And I put the window down, and I was like, I was about to go, listen, I'm sorry. And he was like, see you later on, Paddy, you're on at 8 o'clock, aren't you?
What?
And I was like, what? I love your sets and all this great stuff. Come out to see you, mate. See you later. Boom, boom, boom. Away they went. Go right in them.
Yeah, that's not the type of guy I would expect to see in a comedy club. Because that night I was like, they looked all so fucking serious. I remember because we couldn't start the night because they had blocked half. Like a load of people were messaging dailies going, we're literally caught up outside the town because of this. But they looked so fucking serious. But even though they were dressed up in all their gear, I was like, they should be way happier about this scenario.
Yeah.
That's how much practicing do they need? It's a straight line and it's the same tune. Like there's but yeah, there's people that don't know anything about Belfast. Not that I know much about Belfast, but because I go up there so often, I see it's only the odd thing like that pops up that makes me kind of go, oh, this is very different. I've never seen. Now, no doubt, going anywhere in the country, you're going to see some weird shit. Like, you know, like they drink Buckfast by the fucking gallon in Galway. It's just a tradition. Like, but there's a few, like, because even the day you were driving, because we were probably about 45 minutes in the van together, and you were just telling me stuff about Belfast. I was like, what the fuck? Is that a real thing?
Yeah. No, it's mental. That wee place, Stonyford, you were in too, like, they had one real bad guy lived in it. And he, like, run the whole place down, got the bar to close because it was a Catholic bar, you know. And I was going, why is he doing all that? Because if I lived in a wee drive-through, you know, 100-house wee village like that, the one thing I wouldn't want to close is the bar.
Yeah.
You know, even if the guy that owned the bar supported a different football team than me, as long as there was beer and cider and music, I want that to stay open because that's where you're going to escape. Anywhere else, he would have to get somebody to drive him or do, you know. But he was just a lunatic. He's in jail now, I think. So, but he was one real bad guy. And I was like, can the rest of town not just go, do you know what? No, we're not taking it from you no more. But obviously, people are scared and stuff. You don't know, but it's mental. It's when people come here and they actually see, you know, lots of people come to Belfast and they go, there actually is a wall. You actually are divided. And I was like, yeah, and see the gates, they close at 7:30 every night. And they're like, what? Who closes the gates? Give me the guy with the gate key. And they're like, so how do you get in there? And I says, you're not meant to go in there after 7:30. And I says, what they normally do is they shut them. The 7:30 is sort of the latest. I says, but they shut them when people get out of school and out of work because they tend to go and rat.
Well, it's like, if the whole place was always like that, then you'd say, okay, well, that's what. Well, what I find mad about it is, I don't know who I was driving up. Might have been Kent. I think we might have been gigging together. But I remember we were rounded one corner, and there was lads literally throwing shit at it like an armored fucking Land Rover Defender. I'm like, oh, well, that's that. And drove not 300 yards around the corner. And it was people drinking lattes outside.
Doesn't scare people, you see.
It doesn't. That's the thing. It's like, well, you'll have that, you know.
Yeah.
I never saw any of it. I remember one night. All right, I remember I had an old fucking green old Opel or something, I think, and I remember it had Limerick plates on it. And it was the only time I remember I was pulling out after being in Lavery's, pulling out of my car space, and a car pulled up beside me and went down with the windows, and something like, you Limerick cunt or something like that. And I was like, I knew my biggest insult was that I'm from fucking Tipperary, you pack of cunts.
You don't know, and insult even more because of where the said you're from.
Fuck's sake! But I'd never seen anything like that. But I remember a guy. I met him in Galway one evening after a gig, and he was he'd lived in New Zealand for years, but he'd been extradited out of New Zealand because he was on the run from whatever shenanigans he'd been up to back in the day in Belfast. But he he did he did time in Portlaoise then as a result of them fucking him out of New Zealand. But he says it's the most over the top fucking affair. They could have knocked on the door and I would have went, but he says pretty much the New Zealand SWAT team showed up, you know, the whole fucking shooting gallery, like. But he was saying his only standing order after just serving his time was he's not allowed back to Belfast, you know, that's it, just not allowed back into Northern Ireland at all, like. But he was asking about comedy, you know. He's Jesus, I just think it's mad that you do comedy in Belfast, because he hadn't been in Belfast since like the fucking early 80s. I went, nah, man. He's especially with a surname like yours. And he said, where would you perform now? And I was telling him, and he says, did you just say Lavery's? I went, yeah. Oh, his brother got the end of his nose bitten off. So this must be a thing. Just by he got the end of his nose bitten off by a fucking doorman. That was on Lavery's.
Lavery's, years ago we went into Lavery's because see, growing up, see in Belfast, you didn't leave your area. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't go into town at all, like.
You didn't. You went into town to maybe get shopping, but like socializing in the city centre didn't really happen. You know, especially where we were from, because the first question someone will say to you, "What school did you go to?" or "What's your name?"
Right.
Not to become friendly. They want to know that the person they're talking to is either a Catholic or a Protestant. You know what I mean? It was a bit dodgy to go in and socialize. So there was always nightclubs and bars for the younger ones in their area. You know what I mean? You didn't go in the city centre. You just stayed where you were from. And it meant that everybody was just meeting their girlfriend and their future wife or vice versa in the area. So you were maybe getting married to people that live within, 2 miles of you. And so you didn't really go outside, but I remember we went one time into Lavery's because of the snooker hall up the stairs.
Oh, okay, right, yes, yeah.
We were like 18, so somebody says, we normally went to a place called Frames and they were closed, so this is why we ended up in Lavery's. I think they might have got American pool tables in or something like that happened. But we were all these young kids, from the Falls Road, and we're in Lavery's. And in our areas, they used to go around collecting for the prisoners, the Republican prisoners. Right?
Oh, yeah,
so right. Green Cross, collecting for the Green Cross, and even then you used to go, for fuck's sake, but you put money in. But we were sitting there and these guys came around with the con and they didn't hate it, but they just went, money for the UVF. And I've always had a bit of comedy about me, so I turned around and I says, tell them, lads, I didn't lift the trucker box in the way out of the house, so I don't have any change. And your man went, oh, that's dead on. I moved on to the next table. And I got 3 tables down, and then he clicked on that I said Trucker. So he knew exactly where I was from. But I done it on purpose to see his reaction. And he came back again. He says, you just said Trucker or something. Like that there's a Catholic church, Where would you get that from? Here's me. Oh no, mate. I stole it out of some Fenian's house when I broke into it. And I brought it home and I just save up in it because none of our ones in the house will touch it. And he laughed his head off and he went, that's fucking cracker. I'm going to use that one. And the boys all said to me, you're lucky you're as quick thinking for an answer than you were saying the joke to him, because I could have went completely sour. But it's crazy. I've done a podcast the other week and there's a bit I tell. Did you know Paddy McDonnell?
Yes, yeah.
Real nice guy.
Lovely fella, yeah.
Nicest guy in comedy. Really, really nice fella. So I got asked to do this place called the Nortel Club, which is in Newton Abbey, which is sort of like Rathgale or Rathcoole and New Mosley, all big Protestant estates, right?
Yeah. I did the theatre there, and I had a great turnout, and even people were going, we're really surprised you got a turnout.
Yeah. Theatre at the Mill, yeah.
Yeah.
So this club anyway says, we're doing a charity night. We're wondering if you'll come down, because I had done another night with him and he was like, just this time, just you and one other instead of the last time there was like 10 comedians. And I was like, yeah, no problem. But at the time the flag protest had started,
flag protest.
The flag, what they done, they took the Union Jack off the City Hall.
Oh, right.
Right. And this says that it doesn't need to fly all year round. See, it used to be really unionist, like a 80% unionist council, but now it's like 60% Catholic, So the Catholics have, since the shipyard, they've started to move out. So they says they were taking the Union Jack down. It was in December, and the rats just were, they wrecked the city hall, and then they were burning buses and all the estates and ratting with the cops and all about this flag coming down. And we were doing the gig in that area. So there was flag protests where they were just burning buses and cars and just ratting on the roads. And Paddy McGahey says, I'm going to head down about 6:30. I says, the gig's not till 9, Paddy. And he's like, no, I like to get down, just have a wee look at it, Paddy. And all. I was like, right, okay. So we're standing in Tesco's, me and the wife, and my phone goes, and he was like, hello, Paddy, it's Paddy McGahey. How are you? And I was like, dead on, Paddy, how are you? And he says, know what it is? I'm down here. Is there a back way into this club? And I was like, no, Paddy, there's just a big steel cage on the front of it, because that's the way they were. It was like a big steel cage to get into this club. It was really, really, it looked like an army barracks. And I was like, no, I only know the front way in there. Here's me, is something the matter? And he says, aye, sure. I've got down here, and there's one of those things, one of those things where everybody's a wee bit annoyed and all at the minute. And I was going, what are you talking about? And he was like, do you know, like, no, they've got annoyed, they've got themselves all worked up over a flag, and they're out there, and the fellas are burning buses and stuff. Well, they've closed off the road with 2 buses that they're on fire, and they're just, standing there. And I was like, Paddy, turn the car, how close are to you? He says, oh, it's down to the last 3 cars. I'm about 3 back here. Aye. What'll I do? And here's me, turn now, because if they come to your car window and go, who are you? Or get out, and you go, I'm Paddy McGahey, how are you? They'll burn you in the car. Here he was. I was thinking that. I'll just do that. I'll just turn and go home, right? So he turned and went home, and I went, the gig's not happening. If the protest is right outside the club, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So we get home anyway, and about 9:10, my phone goes, and it's a guy from the club, and he's like, where are you? None of you are here. You're meant to be here, meant to be starting a gig here. And I went, listen, the other guy that was doing the gig with me was down there at 6:30, and there was a flag protest right outside. He says, I know. He says, but the finished ratting now, they're all in the hall. He's like, what? And here he was, they knew you were coming. There'll only be kids standing out there now. And I was like, listen, I'm not driving my car down. It has a Paddy number plate on it. I says, I'm not. And he was like, I'll send somebody up for you. And my wife's going, you better not tell them where we live. Go and meet them somewhere. So I was like, come and meet me in this, and he's going to bring me down. So it was about 9:45 by the time I actually get down to it. Flag protest was right outside. I goes in. There's 1,000 people in this room. The front row's all people with a leg missing or in a wheelchair. Right? And there's this mad DJ. And he's like, well, what's about you? What about you, mate? He had all coin rings in his hands, and he was like, what do you think of that microphone there? He says, like, see one here, the same make. He says, it's a different name, but it's the same make. They make them in Turkey. He says, that there's 600 quid, but I got it in Turkey for 25 quid, like, and it's the same thing. Feel the weight of it. And I was going, right. And he's like, I'd bring you on. He says, don't panic. And he says, I'll big you up. I says, no, don't big me up. Just, I've played here before. Just say my name. And he's like, no, I'd sort it out. So he's on the thing, and he's like, right, everybody be quiet. Oh. This guy here, Paddy McDonnell, he's from your side, but he's all right. He's a nice fella. He says, big comedian. He's done Live at the Apollo. He's done Father Ted. And I'm standing going, no, I didn't. What are you doing, And he's like, he done the inauguration of the President of America, and he's doing a gig for the Saudi Prince next week and all. And I'm going, fuck's sake. And he goes, right, everybody, big round of applause. Here he is, Paddy O'Donnell. And I was
Paddy O'Donnell.
Yeah, he can't even get my name right. So I walks out. There's no stage. It's just a flat hall.
Lovely.
So I'm basically level with everybody. I put the mic to my mouth, and I walk right up to everybody. And I'm about to start, and he goes, oh, Paddy, hold on a minute. Hold on. Everybody, hold on a minute. I forgot to play the national anthem. And I was like, oh, man, seriously. And I don't know why I done it. I think I done it to stop the shit coming out of my arse. But I sat down on the floor while they all stood up. So I'm level with the ones in the wheelchairs, but everybody else, and they're all staring down at me, and they play God Save the Queen, and I'm just sitting there, and it comes to the end of it, and I'm like, I need to say something or do something here, or I'm in trouble. So when everything goes all quiet, there's not a noise in the room. They're just staring at me. And I says, listen, this is a charity night, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I wasn't going. As a mark of respect for the ones in the front row here who can't stand, I sit down to be with them. And one of them in the wheelchair started laughing. And then the back of the room started laughing. And the laughter came right up. And then I was on. And I'd done like an hour and 15 minutes of anti-Catholic you know, anti-Celtic, anti-Irish. It was like an Ian Paisley Arn 15-minute special, right? And at the end of it, they're all cheering, and I go, right, get me out of here. So the guy that came and picked me up, he was a big 6'5" guy with a baldy head. You know, looked like he'd done time in the jail for the paramilitaries. And he was running me home, and he says, I have to say to you, kid, when you get into the car, I wasn't that confident you would have done well. He says, but everybody loved you. He says, I was in the bogs afterwards, and some of the guys doing the flag protest were saying, tell you what, your man's funny. But I tell you what, I'm glad he's funny, because the start of the night I was going to shoot him. And I was like, oh, that's great. So they rang me back like a month later, and they're like, well, I want to book you in again. And I was like, no, I'm busy. I'm busy every day you're going to give me. I'm going to be busy.
I have no more Ian Paisley stuff. That's it. I got no more.
Jesus. It was, I mean, I reckon I could have got elected for the DUP. I reckon I could have on what I was saying. It was just saving your life, basically, on stage.
How did Paddy go down? Did Paddy end up showing up?
No, I sent him home. So he went home at 6:30. Do you know what I mean? So he was away on home. I had to come on my own. That's why I done an hour and 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Because I felt like they were lost now. Paddy was doing 15 minutes. But it was mental. Absolutely mental. So it's stuff like that that's probably, you know, because a lot of people go, I can't believe you would play there, and I can't believe you'd play there. But genuinely, I've played all the places to Shankill, all the worst places you could think. And they all love it. Like it's either they like my comedy, or they like watching me making an idiot of myself and think that that's the way all the Catholics are.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we were thinking. That's exactly exactly what we were thinking.
I knew they were like that.
Yeah.
Try not to wash for 3 days prior to the gig, so I have a smell about me, you know.
They don't smell that Fenian smell of it. Yeah, I get it. But sure, it must have been like, where did you grow up then?
In the Falls Road.
Oh, you were actually in the Falls Road, were you?
Oh yeah, right down Davis, then Clonard, and then eventually up till White Rock. So all the places that you would see on the news, that's where which had green, white, and orange flags. You know, the worst of the worst. Like, the worst of the worst, but the same sense, it was like going to university growing up. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Major streetways. I wouldn't like my kids to grow up, and it's not for the trouble ways of it, but you know, a lot of them areas would have a lot of antisocial behaviour and stuff like that. So I wouldn't want my own kids growing up in it. In the same sense, growing up in it made you grow up very quick. You could go anywhere in the world. Do you know what I mean? You hadn't got any fear.
Oh, I'd imagine. Jesus.
Do you know, like I got friendly with a couple of fellas in Wildwood that were from Philadelphia, and they were like, "You would never come to North Philly," like, and I was like, "Yeah, would." And they brought me North Philly, and they were like, you know, people don't do this. Even the cops that have to work here are black. They know they can't send white cops in. It's just that rough where they were from. But I went into it, like, you know, because you just think you're all right. I'm all right. I'm from the Falls. I'm handling it.
Yeah, do you not know who I am? For fuck's sake, relax.
But I don't even say, do you not know who I am? Because I was Card Frampton when I was working in London a couple of years back. Card Frampton was fighting, and I went out to see the fight. And I met a couple of culty fellas from up here, you know, out the country, and they were with me. At the end of the night, we went into a chicken burger bar, and this big Polak started screaming at me because I was loud, but it's just because I'm from Belfast. And he says, "Oh, F up, shut up." No. And I turn around and I says to him, "Listen, do you know where I'm from?" And the culty guys couldn't get over it. You know, even if he had said no, and I went, "I'm from Davis." He was like, "Where the fuck's that?" You just expect everybody in the world to go, "Oh, right, sorry, mate, dead on, no problem."
Well, I mean, that's, you say cultures from up your neck, like you do cultures in the north of Ireland. You do cultures at a rate that,
yeah.
Like I remember I was, and now you could rate him. I was actually, because I was debating this with Geddes. He went, fuck, there's cultures down your way too, and they said, look at you. I said, I'm sophisticated as regards your, because I did a gig at not a comedy gig, but it was kind of a hosting gig at the Ploughing Championship a couple of years ago, and you could see the Nordic cultures walking in. Like, I mean, these lads were down out of a fucking mountain, like just.
Yep.
Like, this was their big day out. This was fucking it, like, for the year. You know what I mean? This was their electric
this was their big hoolie.
Yeah. Oh, they were fucking loving it because there's a bar there as well. There's fellas like Richie Kavanagh playing old songs about JCBs and shit like that. These fucking lads. Next thing, Marty Moon shows up with the fucking truck. Oh, they're hitting diffs all over the place. You can spot them. You're like, but what it is there's a whole, like the dancing and stuff. You know, the fucking dancing that these lads do. Yep. And country music. There's no shame in it.
No.
Like there's a whole trend and a whole like underground fucking movement where it's like, yeah, no, that's what I'm into, my tractor and some dancing to some country music.
And have you seen these Grassmen thing? Have you?
This is I was pointing this out to somebody only the other day. I was going, you need to get into this, and it was a lad that was on a digger. There's a building site up the road, and I was just chatting to a man about tractors or whatever. I don't know how it came up, but that lad that was on the digger. Basically, when he gets down on a digger, he just goes on tractors the whole time. This dad was on the digger, and he was walking by, and he was just sparking up a fag. And what did he have but a hoodie with Grassmen? This is here in Wicklow.
Grassmen, yeah.
And I went, hey, like, fucking now, come over, explain Grassmen. Your man was trying to go, and the way he was explaining it, Paddy, it was like he was talking about Metallica. Do you know what I mean? He was... It's like, you don't... He's real Wicklow. And he goes, you don't fucking get it. Like... Grassmen, like, and he just started pulling up these YouTube videos, and it was like, and then what was blowing everybody's mind was there was young ones driving tractors, and they've all HD cameras around the fucking tractors, and they fucking videos. These lads had their own Spotify album out of tractor driving songs.
I first came across that. I would do a festival up on the Antrim coast, Glenarm, and a friend of mine was up with me. And he was seeing all these guys with these black hoodies with Grassmen on. So he was going around trying to buy drugs of all these culties.
I fucking wondered when that day would happen. Come on, lads, Grassmen, like, yeah.
So he came back to me and he was like, "That's just fucking mad." All he says, every one of them I've asked for, a wee bit of grass for a wee smoke. And they're all looking at me nuts. So then I went around to see what it was all about. And basically they go out and they cut grass and as you say, they make videos. But I get talking to one of the guys that own it, and he was saying last year, merchandise ways, they sold over 2.5 million in jumpers and caps. Like, it's not even like a wee stupid thing. It's a massive industry now. And what's made it even bigger was all the Irish lads that went to Australia, because they have to do farming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then all the Australian farmers are into it now. So they're all doing it. So you have all these culties in Australia. They are all running about with Grassmen jumpers and Grassmen hats, and it's became like part of their fashion. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, right, yeah. So it's fucking trendy.
Your man said the videos and stuff like that, because they can get leaked and they get sent by WhatsApp among them. He says we don't really make much money from that end. It's the merchandise where we're making a killing. It's nuts.
It struck me one day because I was driving. Grassmen had I was driving into the ploughing championship to park up or whatever in the staff area, and this fucking rig pulled up beside me that opened down. It was its own thing. It was Grassmen.
Yeah, big exhibition center thing.
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah. Big business, like.
By Jesus Christ! And that's the thing I've noted. Like, I love about going up to Northern Ireland, because there's, it would see, yes, there are divisions, but when people are into a fucking thing, man, they are all in. Like, there's no kind of half in. It's even like with yourselves as comedians, like the love you get from the public up there.
Yeah.
You'd get that nowhere in the country. Fucking nowhere. You wouldn't get it. Like, it's just a dedication. It's like, I was saying, maybe it's as a result of people stopping giving a fuck about religion and crack. They're like, well, now we need something to be into. I fucking into him. I see it myself. I would sell more tickets in Belfast than I would in Tip.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I still working on the sites and whatever, and like we were on a site which was a student accommodation, and we were doing all the joinery work, and then eventually I ended up taking it. So I had been going to the meetings and stuff like that, but word got round then, I was doing a few different clips and stuff got out that I was a comedian. So then they started watching the videos. So then they all started watching the videos. So in the site, everybody, so every day you had somebody going, "Can I get a selfie?" But you didn't know if they were messing you about, if they were serious.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then this one day I was in the toilet and I could hear them going, "No, he's in that one. He's definitely in that one.
Oh,
and a fella went, he says, I've only 10 minutes left of my tea. I can't wait. And I get over the other side of the other cubicle. And I'm sitting in the toilet. And he's like, mate, I'm finishing my tea. Can I just get a wee selfie quick with me? And I was like,
well, you're on the shitter.
I'm fucking shitting.
I fucking told you. I told you they are dedicated people up there, man.
Absolutely nuts.
Because one of the last gigs we properly did together, I think was in Jobestown. That mad fucker of a gig that Joe Dowling was running. Do you remember?
Yeah, that's right.
You were definitely at that. I didn't imagine that. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely I did do that. Yeah.
That was the perfect combo for the likes of me and you, because like lads didn't know what to make of me because they were going, that fucker goes out and shoots animals and stuff like that. So yeah, let's put him on as one of, you know, they don't know what to fucking do. They're like, because it's rough as Jesus in Jobestown, like, you know, but then Paddy rocks up. It's like, oh right, we've sandwiched the perfect duo together with these fucking mad jokes around here, because everybody else in the room was like, if you're trying to go up and convince these fucking mad jokes, as you said, like lads are missing fucking legs, they're missing teeth and eyes and ears and every fucking thing, like, and either one of us get up and it's like, oh, they might be a touch fucking madder or weirder than we are, you know. So it's like a perfect. I liked that gig. I was wondering.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was a brilliant room. It was, and do you know what? I used to go down quite a bit, and then it got to a stage where it was hard to get a gig. You know, I think it's once you needed to get a proper fee and stuff like that, they weren't willing to put you on. So I stopped. So it was really good. I went down and done that gig, and then Joe got me back to do headliner. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. But that's probably the last proper gig I've done in Dublin. You know?
I mean, like that. They were starting to dissolve a small bit. Like, and I mean, there was in the time when for the lift in lockdown, when I went to like level 3 or level 2, I did maybe about a dozen gigs or so, and not one of them was in Dublin.
Yeah,
not one. They were everywhere else bar Dublin.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was ripe for fall. Like, there's only really a handful of places like that could survive this, like, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah, yeah.
The likes of the Laughter Lounge and obviously the International will come back and stuff like that. But as far as a lot of the rest of them go, I don't know.
Yeah, they make them come back, but in the same sense, up here, comedy is going to be the first thing that can be done socially distanced. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So a lot of places will spring up whenever this all gives off, because they can't have dancing and they can't have live music and they can't have bingo logo and they can't. So it's going to be the comedy that is getting booked for everywhere. You know what I mean? That's.
Yeah, because I did the Limelight and I did 2 nights with Mickey in, what the fuck is the name of that pub? It was in like a surname, but it was they did a right job the way they had it done. It was part of the eat out to fucking lick out or to help out or whatever. And I remember that night I hadn't heard that phrase, and I went, "This is great, 2 nights of this." And your man was like, "It's the eat out to help out," and I went, "What did you fucking call it?" And he went, and this lad is walking past with a tray of drinks. He goes, "Eat out to help out," and it was the way he said it. He'd such a strong fucking Belfast accent. Eat out to help, and I went, "Dude, slow down. Are you saying what I think you're fucking saying?" He went, "Aye." I went, "Well, fuck me. I know what I'll be talking about." And I couldn't believe Mickey didn't mention it.
No.
And I said to Mickey, "Says, are you not hearing what I'm fucking hearing?" Like, you know. And he went, "Oh my G." I went, "Right. I'm going up and fucking." I know. No, it would seem nobody else in the room. So
you would like all of it.
I talked about the whole scenario, how the different fucking shit names they could have come up with for this whole eat out to help out. Just
you think you're some wee guy sitting somewhere in a PR firm going, "If I get away with this is a master plan."
Well, what I had noticed was it was actually a big CEO. Like, she was just like that mad one with the big shoulder pads. That, do you remember she inherited the Eddie Stobart? Fucking, she was the heiress.
Yeah.
Eddie Stobart. Do you remember she was on Dragon's Den? She was real rough. She smoked fags like that.
Yeah.
She was like, "Eat out to fucking help out," and it was like this creepy old woman. That was my first thought. It's like, how the fuck are none of you hearing this? Like, to eat out to help out.
Yeah, it's like a fucking scene in Peaky Blinders.
I know. Speaking of which, yeah, because acting was another side then that I wanted to talk to you about. Because remember, we didn't do one of it was like a festival gig with Billy Kirkwood and a couple of more in Daly's one night. Or was it Daly's? And you were telling me that you were down to, you almost got the You almost got a gig on Peaky Blinders, didn't you?
It was like a stupid part with a Glaswegian accent, but it was like two words that I couldn't say in a Glaswegian accent. You know what I mean? But I had the rest of it all done. But there was 2 words, and it was sort of like, what was it now? It was like, I don't think just because I'm from Glasgow that you can fuck with me. So it was the fuck with me. So it was this perfect Glaswegian sort of rough accent, and then I was like, don't be thinking because I'm from Glasgow that you can fuck with me. I just couldn't get it, and it was just like, well, and hear me, I will get it. I'm just not getting it now. I don't know why I couldn't pull it off, but it would have been amazing, absolutely amazing.
I don't know why they would worry about that, because in fairness, with a lot of the accents on it, there's a few fucking dodgy ones, like your man from New Zealand playing a red horn, and you're like, steady on now. That is not a fucking northern accent.
It's like Brad Pitt in the Devil's Own film. Did you ever see that one?
Oh, that's. Do you know what?
I'm glad to be here with your family.
Do you know what? I'm half tempted to watch that just tonight, just for comedy fucking purposes.
I put it on the other day. It was watching, and I was like, "Where are you from?" Just outside Cookstown. You've been to Cookstown. You've been to Cookstown. They fucking don't talk like that.
They do not.
Outside. If you talk like that, just outside, you'd get fucking chased, the Americans. You know what I mean? Cookstown's a fucking mad place.
Holy, yeah. There is always a. You wonder, are they going for, like, obviously a big name over the fucking thing? But even some of the people that you wouldn't recognize, even in Peaky Blinders, like, even all their accents are supposed to be Birmingham accents, and you're like, Cillian Murphy's from Cork. He's a fine actor, but that's no Birmingham fucking accent, like, and nobody's going to question it, because it's just he's a really good fucking actor, and it's fine.
Like. Yeah, 100%.
Had you done much other acting?
I'd be lying to say that it's anything way big, but I done it a bit when I was younger. I done a bit of theatre, and then I just stopped because I went to American stuff like that, and I never really done any more. And then I just started doing wee bits and pieces, and then I started getting jobs in theatre more than anywhere. But and any of the stuff that I get in the BBC, I always seem to play, and I don't know where they get this from, like somebody who's working class, from a real working class area, that has a real, not your typical BBC voice. You know, I went to do one for the radio. It was a sitcom for the radio. I think it was last Christmas, yeah. And we went in to do a read through in November, and I done the read through and never heard nothing back. And then we were going in to record on January, and I walked in, and everybody else was different, and I was the only original person. And I remember saying to the writer, and I went, "What happened?" And he says, "Sacked everybody." He says, "You're the only one that kept your job." He says, "Well done." And I was like, right, okay. It had nothing to do with fluke or how good an actor I was. I just was perfect for that kind of role. Do you know what I
mean? Where did they get that notion from?
I don't know. Just really rough and rowdy, you know. It's just, that's exactly what we're doing. Just keep doing that, you know. So that's where I came from.
Now I know this is where it ties in, because I was going to go, why did you go to America? You were that Brad Pitt character, weren't you? You were on the fucking run. You went to...
But I was from Cookstown.
Because you put up some funny posts and tweet and stuff like that where I'm going, is he lying here or not? Because I remember you were putting up something about talking through the window to your parents or something, or talking through, and I remember it was a tweet or something, and I went, is he or isn't he? Because it was funny in what you wrote, but it was something about, I don't know, it was talking something to do with quarantining, or you're like, sure, don't you remember talking through a window to your folks when you were small anyway? I went, is he talking about prison? He fucking is talking.
I was talking about Longkesh. Now, in Longkesh, I exaggerated a bit. It was just tables. You didn't have a screen in front of you. But every Saturday you had to go up and see your man, dad, and, you know, family members and your godfather, and do you know what I mean? So it wasn't a big deal to me.
Who of yours was it in prison?
Every one of them. It was getting to the stage where you're going, is anybody getting released soon? Because there's no family members to look after us anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a. My dad was. He came from a family. My granny and granddad were really old, and my dad was adopted, so he didn't have any other real siblings to look after us. Whereas my mum's family were like big Republican family, so obviously, it was just it just seemed normal at the time. It's not until you leave and you go away and you go, that wasn't normal, to be going to prison every week and visiting people, and sometimes you went up and you were sent in to visit somebody after you came out visiting somebody belonging to you, and you had to give a false name, and you went in and you were only a kid, and they were passing a message on to tell their wife, and you're maybe 11 and you're getting told something, really intimate, and you're going, and then they're saying, her mummy, his mother-in-law lives in New Lodge, just go in and tell her what he said. And I'm like, I don't really want to tell a woman what that man said about her daughter, and it was just basically because the jail was outside Belfast and you went up on a minibus. They maybe didn't get somebody in, and that's why they were asking you to go in and do that, But it was mental. Like you went into Longkesh, and once you went into it, you weren't allowed to see the inside of the prison. So they brought you in, they searched it, even when you were a kid. Like I remember being 6 and 7 and them searching you.
Really?
Yeah, your pockets and all, like they checked everything. And then they put you in a minibus with blacked out windows. It was like an old Mark I Ford Transit minibus. I still remembered. And you get inside it, and it was completely blacked out, so you couldn't see where you were going in the jail.
Fuck, right, yeah.
And you couldn't see the layout of the place. And they brought you then to another place, and you get out, and you were brought into the visiting room. There's maybe 20 people in the visiting room. It was just wee cubicles, social distancing back then. But and then the prisoners were allowed so much pocket money every week. So I remember every time we went up to see one of our ones, he used to buy me M&Ms with peanuts in it, and I don't like them. And I kept telling them I don't like them. So it wasn't like about 10 years ago I said to him, why did you always buy me them when I told you I didn't like them? And he says, because you were a wee fat cunt and I was trying to lose weight one day.
Did they buy you a fucking apple?
There was no fresh apples in the tuck shop. That's all I could get.
Oh, that's fucking beautiful. So they tell me this and tell me the more. The fucking brilliance. Because I was getting excited to see, because all the lads seem to be putting on these big shows. Again, nobody down this neck of the woods could dream of putting on shows like you're putting on up in Belfast. But the next thing you sold out the Limelight. You were selling it out again. How the decision then was it Shine turned around and went, because there's some movers, aren't they, Shine? Holy shit.
Basically what happened was I had done a few wee videos and they were going well. Then I'd done the podcast with Shane, which is mental because been gigging flat out for 10 years and didn't seem to be getting to the stage where I would even have a thought of doing a big gig of my own. Now, I've played big gigs. I've done the Fearless 6 times. Frankie Boyle, there was 7,500 people in the tent. So it's not that it's the biggest gig I've done, but it's the biggest solo show for me to sell out,
Yeah.
So I said to Shane, he says, why don't you phone up Shane and have something? Because that podcast, the first one we done, flew. Like, it was unreal, the amount of things we got on it. So I phoned him up and I just says, can I book Limelight 1? When are you thinking? When do you think it's going to be cleared a gig? And he says, probably June. And I went, well, we'll book June. He says, so do you want Limelight 1, which is the big room? And I went, no, Limelight 2 just. And he went, you sure? And I was like, yeah. And we booked it. So it took a week or two and then we released the date. And it was a Wednesday morning. And he phoned me back an hour later and he says, we're sold out.
Amazing.
We need to put on that. It was 150 tickets or something. But the year before, I had done a show in it, and I got sold 130, so it was like, okay, we'll do another show. So he rang me back 2 hours later and says, that's sold out too.
Stop.
And he says, we need another night. And I went, right, okay. So I done another night, and that sold out in a half an hour. So I says to him, what will we do here? And he was like, we could just do another night in the bigger hall or another 2 nights in the big. And I went, so I'm going to be doing the show 5 nights in a row. That doesn't seem right to me,
Yeah.
Can we condense it down? And then he says, no, there's people coming from Scotland and there's people coming from here to the show, so we can't really mess everybody about and move stuff about. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, we're going to have to look at Glasgow here because we're getting loads of people from Glasgow want to see you. So he came back and he says, what if I put on the Ulster Hall? And I was like, I don't know, Joe, like I've sold a couple of wee gigs or in the Limelight. And he was like, I think it'll sell well. So he came back to me and says, look, November, we'll do the show again and we'll do it in the Ulster Hall. And I says, well, I can't take a risk on it. I have 4 kids and I'm not working. So, and he's like, I'll take all the risk. Don't worry about it. And
stop.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Oh, but I mean, I haven't properly gigged in a year in a proper comedy club. And now I'm able to book the Ulster Hall. You know, it's just happened very quickly over the past 4 weeks.
That's unbelievable. When, as you said, like you were all out able to sell maybe 130 tickets last year, and now what's the Ulster Hall hold? 1,000 people?
800 to 1,000. I don't know, Joe. But I mean, there's not even that many tickets. They've been on sale for a week now, and it's down to the last sort of couple of zones. You know, where there's seats here and there. So it's been unreal.
That's fucking class.
Yeah.
Your poster says it all, really, doesn't it? Like, how many blokes do you know that look like that? You know, they have the vest on or whatever. They just stand there with a flask going, morning, the big fucking head, you know, big head on a cunt. Like, you're just short a fag hanging out the side of your mouth. Like,
I know. And do you know what? The idea for this show came from probably watching Billy Connolly over the years and people like that talking about working life. So everything that's going to happen happens to me. So I have all these funny stories. So I was like, do it. But when I was in London, I got a gig in the Comedy Store.
Right.
Like 5 minutes or something. I had done the Beat the Clock and they were like, do you want another gig? We'll get you in to do like an open spot. And I was like, right, okay. And I couldn't get I was in a site in Brixton, but I was living in Tottenham Hale. And then I would have had to get the Oxford shirt and I wouldn't have got there in time. Right. So I says, I'll bring clothes in with me. But sure, didn't I forget to leave the clothes and get into work? I went, oh, Jesus. And all I had was my work clothes, my high vis, my hat, and my wee rucksack. And I was like, how many times are you going to get offered to do 5 minutes? You know, you're trying to move up the ladder.
Absolutely.
So I went in and they were all sort of looking at me going, what the fuck? Like, and I was like, look, I apologize to him, but I was finished work and I wouldn't have got back in time, so I just came here and she was like, well, you're going to have to address it. Him on, oh, well, straight away. So I'll go on stage and obviously I went up and I says, oh, you heard my name, so I'm sure you all know. Here we go, another fucking Irish construction worker. I says, but to be honest with you, I'm a brain surgeon. But I'm going to meet my dad and my brother in the bar later. And that's why I left Ireland, because where I come from, the working class estate that I'm in, it's seen as homosexual, you know, being a brain surgeon. So I haven't come out yet as the brain surgeon to my parents or my brother. So I've stuck these clothes on to go and meet them, and so they don't, you know, fall out with me. And everybody bust out laughing, you know. So it was about, well, that works. So we'll give it a go in the show and see what people think of it.
Because some of the funniest shit is on sites, though. And I've said this for years, like talking with different people that have been on the podcast that have worked on sites, and they're going, it's like the crack you had when you were in school at age 13 or 14. Yeah. Only you're all blokes now and you have money. That's essentially it.
Yeah, basically. And you're using big machines and all.
Yeah, literally, that's it. Big machines, and you just you can see the attraction to Grassmen now. It's like, I kind of get it, actually. Yeah, you get to behave like a child.
There's this boy I was working with. He was about 55, and he was mad crack. And me and him would have great crack. You know, he was another joiner, and we were working away on site. And we always done things in each other, messing about, you know, like fill the hard hat with water and stuff like that.
Standard.
All the stupid stuff, right? So we're messing about, and this day he just takes out. We have pinning guns. They're pass-load pinning guns with gas, nail, shoots nail.
Love
one for finishing and one for thing. But I had told him that I had shot my finger. I had shot my finger till the roof one time doing it, and the boys let me hang her for half an hour. So I was telling him about it. So he says, all the wee lads come into the room, and he went, here lads, did you know Hot Shot here nailed himself till a fucking roof before with a pass load, and he didn't even cry. And they were like, oh, right, no, all the younger ones.
Oh, yeah.
He took the pinner, pulled the thing back, and shot me with a 35mm fucking pin in the balls. I just started laughing, and I was like, are you fucking insane? Like, I was like, I was only joking. Fucking take that off him. Fucking he's going to kill somebody, you know what I mean?
This is the fucking thing. Like, I mean, some of the stories that I've even told, and I'm kind of going, that's nearly too ridiculous to tell on stage. Like, some of the shit you're going, how the fuck? I remember once, like, standing in a pond. It was like maybe a foot deep. That's fucking big, maybe 90 by 90 foot pond, and it was after building up from an offload of a site. And the only fella nearby, it was a big site that was in a digger. I went, man, we're gonna have to fucking, because it's gonna flow down into those houses over there, because we're up on a height. And the only one was the mad cunt. He was known as Rex. I don't know why he was just called Rex. His name was Brendan, but he was called Rex anyway. And I was like, Rex, and everything was like, yeah. He was so excited to just dig everything. He's like a dog. But the cunt came, now it's to take it handy because there's a big old cable running through here somewhere. First thing he hit, bang, 10,000 volt cable. Blew a hole the size of your head in the bucket on a 30-ton digger and lit up the whole thing, like. And lit up his digger, lit up all the water. I nearly pissed down my fucking leg, like. And your man's going, all you could see was this fella roaring, laughing, going, "Isn't that fucking gas?" And you're like, no, you mad cunt. That's not gas at all. Now, there's 2,000 houses down in Douglas Village in Cork with no power. And I've got to change my jocks after this, you rotten bastard. Like, just...
Crazy.
That's really good. That's the fucking beauty of building sites. I've taken up enough of your time, Paddy. So give us the date that if there is any fucking tickets, because this will go out within the next week. You'll probably end up putting it down 2 nights at the fucking Ulster Hall. I bet you any money.
Well, I hope I do. It'd be good. You haven't had any money,
and you have about 45 children out there. So
yeah, exactly. They're all getting free tickets. But yes, it's November the 26th. This year coming. Hopefully we're out of lockdown. So that's the date.
We'll all vaccinate the fucking heads off ourselves and go to it. See.
Yeah. I think Gary Lynch is running the bus from Dublin.
Is he? I hope he blacks out the fucking windows.
Have you seen him with a skinhead?
Oh man, he looks like, if you put him in a pair of striped pajamas right now, that fucking he needs to grow his fucking hair back, man.
I used to stay with him in Edinburgh, and I'll send you a wee meme I made up of him, and that to see it. You know, he woke up the next morning and he had all the shaggy hair and he was trying to get the shoes on. And I took his picture of him. I swear to God, it's like, if you see him lying in the street, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. You would just think he belonged there. Do you know what I mean?
I took a picture of, I was in Edinburgh for a fortnight, and I had a 1-bedroom flat, and he stayed in my place for one night. And he looked just this embodiment of the most unsexual thing you've ever seen in your life, just lying. And I took a picture of him with his phone, and I kind of forgot about it. And he discovered it a day or two later, and he posted it himself.
Yeah.
Okay, and like tagged my missus in it. He's gone, looks like your fella pulled last night, or something like that. And it took her a good 10 minutes to ring me from the laughter. She was like, that is one of the most horrific things. She goes, even if you did, I still wouldn't break up with you, because he was just spread out everywhere. The hair and beard was stuck out everywhere.
Oh, he's some crack.
What a beautiful man. I can't believe I met you that many times. I've never noticed your finger before. Then again, we never get to just hold it up there one more time so I can just fucking see it.
That's my Bluetooth, and that's my handset.
Paddy, you absolute fucking legend. Thanks a million for coming on.
No problem, Tom. Thank you, mate. All the best now.
Cheers.